Good morning, Kip One Primary. This is Mr. Jennings. This is our excellence class for the week. Let's jump right in. So instead of doing our excellence mantra like we did last year, we're going to be doing something different for the remainder of the year. We're going to be talking about our hope values. Our hope values are things that you've been talking about every day with your teachers. Our hope values are honor, optimism, perseverance, and enthusiasm. Here is a picture of our school on our football field and our principal, Mr. Bell, and just all of us doing a walkout a couple of years ago. What is hope? So you might be thinking, what is hope if you don't already know? Hope stands for honor, optimism, perseverance, enthusiasm, and love. So we added love a couple of years ago because we do everything that in our school with a mindset of having love on our mind. So let's say our hope values all together: honor, optimism, perseverance, enthusiasm, and love. This month, our value is, does anyone know what our value is this month? It is love. So we're going to talk about love today. Love. We added love to our values because we do everything from a place of love. We do everything because we love you guys. Love is important because it shows that you care. At KOP, which is Kip One Primary, we do everything with love on our minds and our hearts. How can you show love? So for our Kipsters, this is a way that you can show love. I show love to my school by coming to class every day, ready to learn. I show love to my teammates by helping them when they need it. I show love to my family and community by being nice and kind. We can read this all together. I show love to my school by coming to class every day, ready to learn. I show love to my teammates by helping them when they need it. I show love to my family and community by being nice and kind. So this is a piece of our school, and this is what we all show at our school, which is love. Let's jump into our lesson. Exploring identity and community. This is lesson 8. What assumptions are made about you? So assumptions are, what do people kind of say about you when they look at you and when they see you? What are some things that they say? So I want you to take a quick second and think, what are some things that people might say about you, even without knowing you, just by looking at you? All right, you can lock some of those things in your mind. And some of those things might be right, but some of those things might be false. And so you have to be very careful when making assumptions about someone, because sometimes you can make assumptions and it can hurt people's feelings, or it can be something that they just don't like. Learning objectives. In this lesson, Kipsels will be able to make connections between the history and literature they study and their current lived experience. Kipsels will also be able to understand identity is dynamic, complex, and personal, and it affects both how we see ourselves and how we interact with others. Finally, Kipsels will be able to understand our environment influences how we understand ourselves and others. So we're about to read a brief passage called Still Me Inside. In this picture, we talked about assumptions. And so when people are looking at this guy, they are making assumptions of him. But when he looks into the mirror, he knows who he is. So this is just like us. When we look in the mirror, we can say who we are. We know what type of people we are. But when other people look at you, they might get some of those things right, but they might get those things wrong. And like I said before, this could hurt people's feelings, or some people just don't like other people making assumptions about them. So let's jump into our reading. My Goda describes how changing her appearance affected the way others perceived her identity and how she thought about herself. I need a change. And so on that single whim, I cut my long black hair, streaked it bright red, and to top it off, pierced my eyebrow. I had gone from dork to punk in a week. And as trivial as it seems, this transformation has had a great effect on my life. As long as I can remember, I had always been a good girl in school. I got decent grades and never was in trouble. At home, I tried not to give my parents too much grief. But more than that, I had the look of a good girl. People always stereotyped me as quiet, studious Asian girl. Friends, parents often ask if I play the violin or the piano. No, the flute, I say, and they would not surprised, walking around with my long black hair over my face. I hid behind my stereotype. I felt somewhat obliged to appease the stereotype imposed on me. Needless to say, heads turned the day. I walked into school sporting a new, short, bright red hairdo. I enjoyed the reaction and attention I received from my friends and teachers. I didn't listen to my friends warning about seeing me differently. People who frowned on a rebellious punkster, after all, I was still the same person inside. So why should I change this? Change matter. I soon found out how naive I was. One day, I was late for school and needed a pass from my vice principal. I was met by a surprisingly stern look. Writing one, his voice and stare were cold and condescending. Mistaking me for one of those punk delinquents, he left me with a warning. Don't make a habit of it. Had I come to school late a week before, my vice principal would have said nothing. I was not used to this discriminating treatment, and I felt angry, embarrassed, and somewhat defeated. Now, every time I go to the mall, suspicious eyes follow me. Store clerks keep a cautious watch, but the worst was yet to come. It was the night of our music recital for advanced students. For weeks, I had prepared my piece and I was excited. The room was packed with parents waiting to hear their children. But as soon as I walked into the room, all attention was focused on my head. As I sat waiting my turn, I felt the critical eyes of the parents. I performed well, but felt awful. Afterward, I still saw those disapproving looks as they walked out with their children. I even overheard a friend being lectured on how she couldn't color her hair or pierce her face to become a punk like mine. Once again, I was ready to go home, feeling angry when my friend's father stopped me. You were very good tonight. At first, I didn't recognize you, he said, looking at my head. Oh, yes, I look very different from last time, don't I? Well, you played even better than last year. Look forward to hearing you again. I went home feeling good, as if I had finally won a battle. Now, the stern look of the vice principal, the suspicious stares of the store clerks, and the disapproving eyes of my friends' mothers didn't bother me. I was still the same person inside, punk or not. There was nothing wrong with me. It was the other judgmental people who had the problem. I regained my confidence. I still get looks and the stares, but it doesn't upset me. In a way, I traded in one stereotype for another. But this time, I enjoy proving them wrong. People are surprised to see me getting good grades and applying to good colleges. They're surprised to hear me play the flute so well. They're absolutely shocked to see me standing in front of the football field, red hair shining in the sun, conducting the marching band. As for my red hair, I re-dye it occasionally to keep it bright, burning red. It seems to give me the power to fight against stereotypes focused on me and gives me the confidence that I never had before. So this is my Goda on the left here, and this is on the right. Some people dressed up in punk. So Mai was dressing like this. She changed her image from what it was before. So before she cut her hair, she said she had long black hair. She didn't have a nose piercing, and people just often looked at her as a good girl. But when she dressed up in these punk outfits, people often made assumptions about her. And when they made those assumptions, they thought that she was going to be bad or she's not going to follow the rules. When she was the same person, the person didn't change. She just changed her image. And so a lot of times when people look certain ways, people make assumptions about them. And sometimes, like I said, people don't like those assumptions that people make. So we need to be very careful on what we say about people. So we want to make great assumptions, positive ones, not negative ones. This is Uncle Drew. Uncle Drew says he's a great basketball player. So let's make some assumptions about Uncle Drew. I want you to first think about what do you see? What are some of his physical characteristics? He looks like an elder. When I say an elder, he looks like he is not a younger person. He wears glasses. His beard is white. He has on a jogging sweatshirt. Let's ask each other some questions about Uncle Drew. Do you think he can play basketball? How old do you think he is? Do you think he can dunk a basketball? Do you think he can play with younger players? Do you think he's fast or do you think he's slow? Let's just think of these questions in our mind now. First, do you think he's a basketball? Do you think he can play basketball? Do you think if you went to the basketball court, would he be good at it? Hmm, I don't know. How old do you think he is? Let's get some ages here. From what I see here, he might look about 65, 70 years old. Do you think he can dunk a basketball? Do you think Elder will be able to dunk a basketball, or 65, 70-year-old will be able to dunk a basketball? Do you think he can play with younger players? So if someone was younger, like a LeBron James or a Stephen Curry or a Draymond Green, do you think he would be able to play with these basketball players? Do you think he is fast? Do you think he'll be fast? Or do you think he'll be slow? He looks about 65, 70 years old. Do you think he'll be fast or slow? So let's see now. So we're gonna watch a video with Uncle Drew playing some basketball with some people.
It's good that they come out here and play some basketball in this cold weather. Oh my gosh. Come here. Don't play around with these kids, man. For real. Got you, Uncle Drew. You could be good if you took the game serious. Oh, yeah. Oh! You okay? Good. Yo, we need another player. Yo, I think my Uncle Drew could play. I'm not playing. Uncle Drew, you can play? Better stop playing around. Come on, Uncle Drew. We need you, man. Come on. All right, man. What do you want me to take? Man, just get the smallest person on the court. He's really slow. I got your help. Oh, shit. We here. Oh. Screen me. You okay? Yeah, I'm good. Show him something, man.
Yeah. Backboard.
Uncle Drew.
Hey.
Yo, what the?
Here's not the game. I don't know where it is.
Come on. Got your help out there. Oh, just still. Push it. Push it, old man. There you go.
Play in position. I got you all right. There it is. That's what you do.
Uncle Drew still got skills. Knock it down, Uncle Drew.
You turned up, young blood. I can smell it.
It's amazing.
I'm not doing a bit.
Good block. Watch your back. That's my uncle. Uncle Drew, chill, Uncle Drew. I know I'm old, young blood, but
So that was Uncle Drew. Some of those guesses that you made probably were wrong. Uncle Drew was a great basketball player. He was pretty fast. He was able to play with younger players and be very good on the basketball court. We even see him dunk the basketball. So that means you need to be very careful about assumptions, because those people on that basketball court made assumptions that he wasn't able to play very well, and he proved them all wrong. So what he looked like obviously isn't what they thought he would be like on the basketball court. So what were our learning objectives during this lesson? In this lesson, Kipsters were able to understand identity is dynamic, complex, and personal, and it affects both how we see ourselves and how we interact with others. Kipsters will be able to understand that our environment influences how we understand ourselves and others. Guesses will be able to make connections between the history and literature they study and their current lived experiences. So here are the 5 friends who turned in something to Mr. Jennings this week and have the chance to win $5. Congratulations, Haley.